Hello, Rabbanit Shira.
Shalom, Rabbanit Hamutal.
We're finally at the final chapter of Makot. Elu Malokim. We're going to talk about lashes. It's very graphic, very difficult, as you already seen in the last dapim. But this is what we have to learn.
Torah, and we need to learn it. And also know that these pages are very explicit and graphic, and you don't have to go deep. But you have to read it. I think it's very important to read it and to understand what's going on.
Yes.
And to understand it.
Don't imagine.
Try not to imagine it, not to picture it. So I have a Rabbanit that I really look up to. She's a great Talmidat Chacham and she's an amazing person. And she has this habit to, every time she meets someone who's Gadol B'Torah, a great rabbi in Israel or outside of Israel, she asked him, if you were Sanhedrin, if we had the reality of Sanhedrin today, what would you do? What will be the first mitzvah that you would bring back to Am Yisrael in the power of Sanhedrin?
Yeah.
And once she asked it to someone, great rabbi in Israel, and he said, I would bring back malkot.
Lashes.
I would bring back lashes to Am Yisrael. And she was a bit horrified, and she's like, oh, why would you do that? Why do you want to hit?
Of all the mitzvot that we have.
Yeah, why to hit everyone in Am Yisrael?
I would choose Bikurim, by the way.
You would choose Bikurim? I would
nice.
Hakel, like all of Am Yisrael coming together.
Positive things.
Positive? Yeah, so he said lashes, and she asked him why, and he said because it's the opportunity for each person to restart, to do tshuva, but then physically to get the punishment and to be done with it.
Yeah.
And then when you're done with it, you're able to move on and to start over again.
You're not walking around the world feeling like there's something hanging over you.
Nachon.
You're done with it.
Like, I've done something. I know I deserve punishment from the heaven. I'm not going to get punishment from the heaven. Who knows when I'm going to get it. So it's better just to clear the air.
Yeah.
To say, I got what I need. I got my punishment, and to move on.
And as we see in the Gemara, it actually talks about people who have done something wrong and they deserve karet, which is mavet bidei shamayim, and they can get away with it. Meaning, this is the punishment, and there's no more karet hanging over your head.
So that's exactly the Mishnah in Daf Kaf Gimel in Masechet Makot. The Mishnah says, "Kol chayave kritut shelaku." If you were
you deserve karet.
Ken, if your verdict is to get karet,
right,
and you got malkot instead, nifteru al yedei kritatam, meaning you don't deserve karet anymore. Like, it cleared karet from your book. And it's quite amazing.
It's quite amazing.
And so we have criteria on what mitzvot can we give malkot instead of receiving karet or mitah bidei shamayim. And there are 3 different criteria. The first one is if you've done lo ta'aseh, that you receive karet for it, but it doesn't have mitat Beit Din. Meaning, if you'll go to Beit Din, if you'll go to Sanhedrin, they won't be able, like we said in Masechet Sanhedrin, to give you skila, srifa, hereg, or chenek.
Yes.
They won't be able to kill you. Meaning, these are things that the punishment for them is by heaven and not by men.
The best example, eating chametz over Pesach.
Eating chametz in Pesach, if you'll go to Beit Din, they won't be able to give you mitah, and it's karet. And then, therefore, if you're going to Beit Din and you're saying, I want to clear my karet by receiving malkot, Beit Din will give you malkot and you won't be worthy of karet anymore.
Okay, so that's the first category.
The second category is ha'over al lo ta'aseh shechayavim alav mitah bidei shamayim.
Right.
Meaning something that you have done, it's mitzvat lo ta'aseh, you've done it, but you deserve mitah bidei shamayim, not karet. And for example, is eating tevel.
Or a kohen who was tameh and he's eating turma, which is tahor.
Ken.
That's the second example.
Mitah bidei shamayim, you can clear that verdict of mitah bidei shamayim by receiving malkot.
Right.
And the third thing, ha'over alav sheyesh bo ma'aseh. Like something active that you're doing in mitzvat lo ta'aseh. For example, eating meat together with
milk,
butter and steak. For example.
Cheeseburger. Yeah.
So these are all things that you might have been deserved punishment of death, and you're like changing the verdict of death in malkot.
So the Rambam in Hilchot Sanhedrin ve'onashim ha'mesurim lahem in the 17th chapter explains how many lashes, which is very interesting. Kama malkim et ha'mechuyav malkot kfi kocho. So it really changes from person to person because you don't want to kill them.
So it's a subjective punishment.
Exactly. שנאמר כדרעי שתו במספר, וזה שנאמר 40. You can't get to 40, you're supposed to get to 39, but you can have a lot less. Meaning, אפילו הבריא ביותר מכים אותו 9 ו-30. If you're like the healthiest, strongest person, you will receive the 39, but If you can't, you're going to get a lot less because we're actually looking at the person and seeing how he reacts, and we don't want to kill him. And we do understand that some people are not as strong as others.
So basically, halacha tells us we have a scale.
Yeah.
At the end of the scale, we have Shimshon HaGibor,
Yeah.
who was like the strongest person that you can imagine physically. Even he can't receive 40. He
Right.
only needs to get 39 in case he needed them. But on the other end, if we have someone who's physically sick or unable to receive malkot, so he will get much, much less.
And also the Rambam says if physically he reacts in different ways, I'm not going to get graphically into that, and you see that he can't stand it,
That he can't handle it.
then he's kind of qualified to the pasuk v'nikla achicha le'enecha. There's something about the humiliation that goes with it, and you stop.
Because the humiliation is enough.
And it's part of the
physical,
punishment.
Exactly. The physical part of it is
Right.
only as much as you can endure it physically.
Right.
But if you can't endure it physically, the humiliation is enough as the punishment.
And the Rambam concludes the chapter, like you said, כל מי שחטא ולקח חוזר לכשרותו. Meaning you receive the lashes, you're reset now. Meaning you can even testify. You can be Adam kasher le'edut because you received your punishment and that's it. You're clear. There's nothing on your plate. כל מחויבי כרת שלקו נפטרים מידי כרתן. That's it. You're not on the list, the black list of receiving or supposed to be receiving karet, and you're starting new, and you can even testify.
Amazing. So it's very important also to say that it's not that easy.
Right.
Meaning, in order to be eligible for malkot, you need to have two witnesses
That
have
saw
seen
you, for example, eat chametz on Pesach.
Nachon, that have seen you doing the avera, the sin, and they need to be willing to go to the Beit Din and testify that they have seen you, and they need to testify that someone gave you hatra'ah, someone
you got
gave
a
you
warning.
warning. So if I'll see someone eating
A sandwich.
in Pesach, like eating a pita, someone needs to say, careful, be careful,
Stop.
it's pita, don't eat it, you'll be worthy of karet, don't eat that pita, over and over again. And only if it doesn't listen, and there are two witnesses that
Who
are
are
willing
going to testify.
and going to Beit Din and testifying against the hatra'ah, against the only then you're willing of malkot. So it's not that like instant
punishment. So I think what we should do this week, and also we've done it a few days before, is try to think of this interesting idea. I know that today, whenever something gets physical, we're like, okay, we don't like it, it's too much. But
It is too much.
I know, but they had this interesting idea of not walking around the world feeling guilty all the time, feeling like, how can I make it better? How can I repent? It's difficult. And something about this lashes is like, it's very
clearing the table.
It's very harsh. It's very physical. It's very humiliating. On the other hand, you're done. You walk out of the courthouse and you're like, I'm a new person. I can start over. I just did tshuva. And this is something that I really admire about this halakha, even though it's very difficult.
The ability to restart.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Start fresh.
So we're about to finish Masechet Makot.
Yishar
Kol
koach.
hakavod for learning so much so
Yeah.
far. And we'll see you in the next Masechet.
Shavua tov.
Shavua tov.